Have you ever felt it? The sudden fire rising in your chest, the heat in your face, the words you almost spit before you even hear yourself saying them. Rage, it comes uninvited, like lightning cracking through a clear sky. 1 second, you are calm. The next, you are a storm. But here is the truth the Stoics whispered across the centuries. The real danger is not the insult, not the betrayal, not even the words thrown against you. The true battlefield is the single breath after it. Because in that breath, you decide whether to burn your world down or master yourself. If you seek calm in a noisy world and strength in the face of storms, subscribe now. Here, we explore the wisdom of Stoicism, the art of mastering emotions, and the path to true inner peace. Anger feels powerful. It feels like justice, like strength. But in reality, anger is a thief. It steals reason. It robs peace. It destroys the very dignity we try to defend. Picture this. You are at dinner with someone you love. A careless comment slips out, a joke that cuts deeper than intended. And suddenly, rage surges. The words leap to your tongue. How dare you? After everything. That is the moment. That split second is the battlefield. If you charge blindly, if you unleash every cruel word, you might win the argument, but you will lose the night. Perhaps even the relationship. Marcus Aurelius warned us. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Think of that. The comment itself is light, almost weightless. But the consequences of rage? Days of silence, years of bitterness, a wound that lingers long after the words are forgotten. Another scene. You are on the road. A driver cuts in front of you, almost hitting your car. You grip the wheel. Your heart pounds. Your mind screams, teach them a lesson. But what is the lesson? That your life, and theirs, is worth less than your anger. Seneca once said, anger, if not restrained, is more hurtful than the injury that provokes it. This is the battlefield we face daily. It is not in wars, not in politics, not in the vast struggles of nations. It is in kitchens, in traffic, in offices, in the quiet moments where pride collides with ego. The Stoics understood, the enemy is not the world outside. It is the storm within. And that storm begins with one spark, a single thought, a single word, a single act of disrespect. But here is the paradox. The insult is small, the spark is weak. It is our reaction, our surrender, that gives it strength. Without our rage, the spark dies in silence. With our rage, it becomes an inferno. This is why Epictetus taught, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. So the real question is not, how do I stop others from insulting me? Because you can't. The real question is, how do I stop handing them the keys to my peace? The answer begins with the pause. Rage does not always look like shouting. It has many masks. Sometimes it is loud and violent. Other times it is quiet, cold and cutting. One face of rage is the explosion. Voices raised, doors slammed, words hurled like stones that cannot be taken back. Imagine a couple in the middle of an argument. One partner feels unheard, the other feels accused. Suddenly, voices escalate. You never listen. Oh, really? What about you? The storm builds, and in a flash, love turns into war. When the dust settles, both are left with scars. Not from the original issue, but from the weapons they used against each other. Another face of rage is the freeze, silence, coldness, the look that says, I will punish you by withholding myself. This too is anger, not fire, but ice. It corrodes slowly, it creates distance, walls where there should be bridges. The Stoics would call this anger disguised. It is no less dangerous, for it eats at connection in the shadows. And then there is the silent grudge, not the blow-up, not the freeze, but the quiet storing of injuries. A friend forgets your birthday. A colleague takes credit for your work. Your partner leaves dishes in the sink again. You do not explode. You do not freeze. You swallow it. You tell yourself, it's fine. But inside, you keep score. Every offense added to the ledger, until one day the weight of unspoken resentments breaks the bond completely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." Why? Because anger often says more about us than about them. It reveals our expectations, our pride, our fragile need for control. Think of the workplace. A boss criticizes your work unfairly. Your instinct is to argue back, to defend yourself, but beneath the anger is something else: the fear of being judged, the pride of wanting to appear flawless. The Stoic pause unmasks this. It asks, what am I really defending? My virtue or my ego? Seneca reminded us, most anger is rooted in an expectation of perfection, from ourselves, from others, from life itself. We expect our partners to always understand us. We expect drivers to always respect us. We expect bosses to always be fair. And when reality fails to match our imagined script, we rage against it. But rage does not bend reality. It only breaks us against it. Look closer. Every face of rage, the explosion, the freeze, the grudge, has one thing in common. It makes us prisoners of others. Their words, their mistakes, their imperfections suddenly control our emotions, our health, our peace. And so the Stoics taught, you cannot stop the world from being imperfect, but you can stop handing the world control over your soul. This is the gift of the pause. It is the door that separates impulse from wisdom, reaction from reason, bondage from freedom. The pause is not empty. It is full of choice, full of strength, full of clarity. And if you can master it, you will see the faces of rage for what they truly are, illusions that crumble in silence. The Stoics were not strangers to anger. They lived in a world filled with insults, betrayal, and injustice. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire where conspiracies brewed in shadows. Seneca served under a violent emperor who could end his life with a single command. Epictetus was born a slave, beaten by his master until his leg was permanently broken. And yet, they mastered themselves. They discovered a key that unlocked freedom from rage. The key was this: you cannot control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the core of Stoicism. Events are neutral. Insults are noise. What matters is the judgment you attach to them. Think of it this way. If someone calls you a fool, does that make you one? Only if you believe them. If someone mocks you, does that damage your worth? Only if you hand them that power. Epictetus was blunt. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. A harsh word is nothing but air, sound waves in motion. But your judgment that this word is an attack, that it must be punished, that it cannot be ignored, this is the spark that ignites the fire. Seneca, in his essay on anger, gave another key. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Delay does not mean suppression. It does not mean pretending you are not angry. It means creating space. Space to remember who you want to be. Space to let the storm pass before it sweeps you away. Think of water boiling in a pot. If you leave the lid sealed tight, pressure builds until the pot explodes. But if you lift the lid just slightly, the steam escapes. The pause is that release. It transforms pressure into calm. The Stoics did not teach us to erase emotion. They taught us to rule over it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the Stoic key. Events do not touch the core of who you are. Your peace, your reason, your dignity, these belong to you alone. Consider the image of a fortress. The walls are your reason. The gates are your judgments. No insult can breach the walls unless you open the gates. So when anger comes knocking, the Stoic asks, do I open the gate and let rage conquer me? Or do I keep it shut, remembering that the insult is nothing unless I consent to it? Epictetus taught his students to rehearse this truth daily. When someone irritates you, know that it is your own opinion which has irritated you. This is radical. It means the enemy is not outside. It is inside. It is not the person who offends you. It is your own interpretation that enslaves you. And this is good news, because if the cause is inside, so too is the cure. The key is always in your hand. It is the pause, the breath, the choice not to give your peace away. Philosophy is not just words on a page. For the Stoics, it was training, a daily practice. Because wisdom untested in life is only theory. So how do we practice the Stoic pause? How do we take this lofty idea, delay is strength, and make it a living habit? The first tool is the breath. When anger strikes, the body reacts before the mind. The heart races. The breath shortens. Muscles tense, ready to fight. In that instant, breathe, slow, deep. Inhale as if you are drawing calm into your chest. Exhale as if you are releasing the fire. Count slowly. 1, 2, 3. This is not weakness. It is reclaiming the rhythm of your body before anger hijacks it. The second tool is the question. Seneca advised, delay your anger. Ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow, in a year, in 10 years? When you ask this, the storm shrinks. The careless word from your partner, the insult from a stranger, the mistake at work, most dissolve under the weight of time. Anger thrives on urgency. The pause starves it. Perspective is poison to rage. The third tool is the journal. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for the world, but for himself. It was a way to examine his anger, his pride, his judgments. When you feel rage, write. Put the storm on paper. Ask, what exactly triggered me? Was it truly the act or my interpretation? Was it about justice or my ego? By naming anger, you weaken it. By analyzing it, you master it. But perhaps the most powerful tool is the lived rehearsal. Picture this: a couple in their kitchen, dinner plates on the table, a conversation turns sour. The partner makes a remark, careless, sharp, unfair. The fire rises, the heart pounds, the urge to retaliate burns on the tongue. Here is the battlefield. Without the pause, you always do this, you never care. Voices rise, accusations fly, the night is lost. Both retreat to silence, feeling wounded, misunderstood. With the pause, the breath, the question, the choice. Instead of attacking, you wait. The silence feels heavy, but it holds power. You ask calmly, did you mean it the way it sounded? Suddenly the storm breaks. Your partner softens. I didn't. I was tired. I spoke carelessly. The night is saved, not because there was no anger, but because anger was mastered. This is the Stoic exercise, small victories, moments of mastery. Each pause is training for the next. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, when you wake in the morning, tell yourself, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, arrogance, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. Why? Because preparation disarms surprise. If you expect imperfection, you're not shocked by it. And if you are not shocked, you can pause. Think of a warrior sharpening his blade. Think of an athlete rehearsing his moves. The Stoic trains his pause, until the pause becomes natural, until silence becomes strength. The world will test you, your partner will test you, strangers will test you, but the battlefield will always be the same, the breath after the insult. And if you practice, you will win that battle again and again. When the pause becomes practice, life begins to change. Not only in grand ways, but in the smallest, most human moments. Think of the couple again. In the past, their arguments ended in silence, resentment, nights spent back to back. But now, the pause transforms the story. Disagreements still come, but they no longer burn everything down. Words are chosen with care. The bond deepens because each has learned to guard the relationship, not the ego. This is the transformation of love through Stoic discipline. Rage no longer writes the script. Patience does, clarity does, compassion does. The same transformation appears at work. A boss criticizes you harshly in front of your peers. Before, your chest would tighten, your tongue would snap in defense. The office would feel like a battlefield. But now, you pause, you breathe. You ask yourself, is my dignity really decided by one comment? You choose silence. You respond later, calmly, with solutions instead of accusations. What happens? The insult dies. Your professionalism shines. Your reputation grows, not because you never faced injustice, but because you refused to let anger decide your fate. Even in traffic, yes, even there, transformation happens. The car that cuts you off no longer holds power over your peace. The honking, the shouting, the chaos on the road, all of it becomes background noise. You pause, you breathe, you continue your journey unshaken. This is not passivity, it is power. Because the greatest victory is to rule yourself, while others are slaves to impulse. But the deepest transformation is not in relationships or careers or daily frustrations. It is inside. It is in the quiet chambers of the mind, where storms once raged without mercy. The pause creates space, and in that space you discover freedom. Freedom from being a puppet to emotions. Freedom from the chains of pride. Freedom from the endless cycle of rage, followed by regret. Marcus Aurelius described this freedom. A man becomes calm by returning to himself, by the simple act of seeing that nothing is truly within another's power but his own mind. Imagine living with that kind of calm, not a cold detachment but a steady flame, not the absence of feeling but the mastery of it. This calm is magnetic. People feel it. They trust it. They are drawn to the person who can stand in the storm without trembling. It is said that when Cato, the Stoic statesman of Rome, walked through the Senate, his enemies despised him, but they could not shake him. He was a mountain, unmoved, rooted in principle. That is the transformation available to us, not to become perfect, but to become steady. Not to be free from insult, but to be free from slavery to insult. The pause saves more than your temper. It saves your relationships. It saves your peace. It saves you from becoming a stranger to yourself. And here lies the paradox of Stoicism. The strongest person is not the one who conquers others in anger, but the one who conquers himself in silence. This is the true victory. The empire no tyrant can take, the freedom no insult can touch. We began with a question: what is the true battlefield of anger? Not the insult, not the betrayal, not the careless words thrown our way. The battlefield is the breath after, that fragile, fleeting moment when the world waits for your reply. That instant where you decide, will I be a slave to impulse or a master of myself? The Stoics gave us a path. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that power lies only in our minds, never in the chaos outside. Seneca warned us that the greatest cure for anger is delay. Epictetus taught us that no one can anger us unless we grant them permission. This is the Stoic pause, the space between provocation and reaction, the silence that carries more strength than 1,000 shouts. Think back to the faces of rage, the explosion that scorches relationships, the freeze that ices intimacy, the grudge that rots bonds slowly. Now imagine replacing each with the pause. The couple arguing in the kitchen does not spiral into accusation because one breath breaks the cycle. The employee humiliated at work does not retaliate with fury but answers later with dignity. The driver cut off in traffic does not slam the horn but carries on, unbroken, unshaken. This is not fantasy. It is training. It is discipline. It is the art of remembering that no insult can truly touch you unless you hand over your peace. 3 lessons endure. First, the battlefield is not outside, it is within. The insult is nothing, your judgment is everything. Second, delay is not weakness, it is power. The pause is the shield that turns rage into reflection. Third, silence is victory. The one who controls himself controls the outcome. In silence, dignity survives. In silence, wisdom speaks. So the next time anger comes for you, do not let it steal your dignity. Do not let it decide your fate. Do not let it master you. Pause, breathe, choose silence, and you will see that the greatest victory was never over them. It was always over yourself. If this message resonated with you, let it echo further. Like this video, share it with someone who struggles with anger, and leave a comment below. What emotion are you struggling to control today? And if you want more Stoic lessons on anger, on anxiety, on overthinking, subscribe now and join us on the path of echoes of stillness.